and welcome to my June book haul. So in June I've hauled a few books and a few comics, so I'm not even going to try and justify it or anything. I'm just going to get right into the haul. The only two physical books I both got from Waypoint, which I'll leave a link to down below, is Hannah from Ladder M's shop, and you should definitely go check it out. The first one I got was Over the Woodward Wall by A. Deborah Baker, and this is slightly confusing because this one is from Middle Game, which is Sean Maguire's book, and A. Deborah Baker is Sean Maguire, but essentially Middle Game was all about twins and alchemy and stuff like this, and the guy who created the twins, the main two characters, was inspired by A. Deborah Baker, his creator, who also wrote a series of books about two kids trying to get to the up and under, and this book is that book, essentially. So in their world, the Over the Woodward Wall and all the rest of it is very much like our Wizard of Oz, and everyone sort of really knows it and all the rest of it, and Sean Maguire decided to write that book and that series. So this is the first one, and this is following the kids trying to get to the up and under, essentially. I can't remember much else. Is very confusing, quite frankly. Middle Game is a very hard book to describe, so I'm not even going to try it, but essentially this is the book from inside the book, and I cannot wait. I loved Middle Game so much, I cannot wait to read this one. And then the second one I got was A Close and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers, which is the second book in the Wayfarer series. I read A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet this month and really loved it, and this one is the sequel essentially, but it's more like a companion series, and this one is focusing on Lovelace, who is a character from the first one, and I can't really say much else because that'd be spoilers, but I'm so excited to read this one. I really enjoyed A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and I cannot wait to see where this one goes. Onto the ebooks now. First one I got was The Bone Season, because I read The Pale Dreamer 2 months ago now, something like that. I forgot to put it in the wrap up, but I did read The Pale Dreamer because I had 10 minutes. So I read that via the library, and I was sort of testing it out because I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it or not or whatever. So I read it and actually really enjoyed it. So I decided to pick up The Bone Season, and I can't wait. Quite frankly, I really enjoyed the storyline of it, of like the underground clairvoyance and all the rest of it. It was a very intriguing world, so I cannot wait to read this one, and I'm sure I'm now going to have Abby from Abbey of Pelennor, who I'll also leave a link to down below, screaming at me to read this one immediately, essentially, but I probably won't because I've got a lot of other things to read. But either way, I now own The Bone Season, so I can now read it. I then also got Wind Witch, which is book 2 in the Truth Witch series, and I've got to admit, Truth Witch was not my favourite book. It did go far too quickly for me, in the sense that it was just sort of like go, and there was no time to really sort of pause in that sense or anything. So it did go a little bit too quickly for me, but I was sufficiently intrigued enough to pick up the second one. So Wind Witch went on sale this month, so I decided to pick it up. I'm a little bit hesitant, I won't lie, because obviously the first one went so quickly, but I'm hoping that this one sort of slows down a little bit and sort of takes the time to sort of like breathe in that sense and explore the characters a bit more, but we'll see what happens essentially. And yeah, I thought I'd pick it up while it was on sale and see what I think about it. It's not going to be a priority, but I do now have it when I do feel like reading it. I then picked up Raybearer because it went down to 99p, and I've heard so many people hyping this book. I'm like up and like raving about it for ages, so I decided to pick it up. This one as well, I know basically nothing about because I can't remember much about it, quite frankly, further than the fact that the cover is quite deceptive, as you can see. But also, I'm pretty sure the main character's been living in isolation or something and is now chucked in with the prince. It's something like that, but I've heard so many good things about it, I had to pick it up and give it a go. So while it was on offer, I picked it up. And then the rest of it is Loki Comics, because obviously Loki came out in June, and so Comixology went, hey, you like Loki? Here's a sale! So I picked up several, so let's just get into it. First one is Angela, Asgard's assassin, because this one is actually focusing on, obviously, Angela, who has been raised to hate Asgard with every fibre of her being, but she's actually Thor's biological sister. And now she's in charge of a demonic child and having to hide from Loki, and somehow Loki fits in somewhere, as well as the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, I met Angela in the Guardians of the Galaxy series and I really enjoyed her, so I can't wait to see where this one goes, essentially, because she's a very interesting character, quite frankly, and I can't wait to see how Loki fits into it as well, and quite frankly, the idea of a demonic child is just right up my alley, quite frankly. I then picked up Infinity Wars, and this one is where most of the Infinity Stones, or all of the Infinity Stones, have now all come to Earth, which means Loki, Doctor Strange, Carol Danvers, as well as Star-Lord, all have to team up together to try and stop whatever's going to happen now that they're all on Earth, and I'm pretty sure Thanos is involved because it's the Infinity Stone, so naturally Thanos is involved. And quite frankly, I just heard the words Loki, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel. Didn't really need to know anything else, quite frankly. They're some of my favourite characters of all time. I've been desperate to read Loki and Doctor Strange team up stuff, and Carol Danvers, quite frankly, is the icing on the cake of that one, quite frankly. I then also picked up As Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, and this is where Loki is having to team up with his half-sister Angela, who I mentioned earlier, to try and stop Nebula, because she's trying to take over the universe or something like this. All I heard basically was Loki, Angela, as Guardians of the Galaxy, and Nebula, and went, yeah, well, that's going to be perfect, quite frankly, so I picked it up. It also spins out of Infinity Wars, so I'm excited to have that sort of spin-off as well. I then also picked up two comics that are Marvel comics, but they're focused more on Norse myth, and the first one was Thor and Loki, Blood Brothers, and I have already read this one. Now, I do have a reading vlog that will be going up after Loki is finished, where I'm reading all of my Loki comics and discussing the TV show and all the rest of it, so look out for that. But essentially, this is Loki's point of view on Norse myth, essentially, and it was enjoyable, but it wasn't my absolute favourite, and the art style wasn't really to my taste either. It was enjoyable though, and I definitely think it's really good if you have not read any Norse myth before and you do want to get into that kind of thing, or just to see where Thor and Loki have been based on in terms of the films and all the rest of it. I do think it's enjoyable in that sense, but it was not my favourite, and I only gave it like a 3-star, but it was still reasonably enjoyable, and I am glad I read it. And then the final thing I got was the Trials of Loki. Now this one is obviously Loki's origins from his point of view, essentially, and that's all I really needed to know when I picked this one up. And again, it was interesting, but I think this one again works better for people who don't really know that much about Norse myth and want to get into Norse myth, but don't really want to start with a really big chunky book or anything like this. I do think this is a good sort of bridging the gap kind of thing, or if you're just interested in what Loki does in the original Norse myths, it works quite well in that sense as well. So in the end, I did quite enjoy it, but I think it works better for people who haven't read that much about Norse myth or just want to see where like Thor and Loki come from in the original myths, essentially. So that was another 3-star, but I will go into more detail, A, in my reading vlog, and B, in my wrap-up, which will be coming in the next couple of weeks. And that's absolutely everything I bought in June, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below with what you bought in June, I'd love to know, or if you've read any of the books I've just mentioned, I'd love to know what you thought about them. I'll also leave a link down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is going to have a blog post up every single day of July, so if you are interested in getting into comics, now is the best time to check out the Comic Book Sanctum. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!